It is Thursday, August 7th. Three Thursdays from tonight. In fact, 3 Thursdays from tonight, at this very moment, the Buffalo Bulls are going to be kicking off to the beloved Golden Gophers. We are going to be doing a double watch party. Double watch party, August 28th, Thursday. Double watch party, August 29th, Friday. Double watch party in the morning at noontime, August 30th. Double watch party for the evening games. Double watch party for the Sunday games. Watch party for the Monday games. We are 3 Thursdays away until the studio becomes an explosion of cheers and tears. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you love everything in college football, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this college football's rebel outpost. And it is. If you want to support the home for the college football sickos, this is the place. If you want to help us, hit that $sign where you make a comment, and we'll get to your super chat as quick as we possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio, especially tonight. Especially tonight, the ACC fan base. Come on in. Come on into the studio. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid of this live show. Tonight, it is going to be evidence number one. Evidence number one that there is no more.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away.
Craig the Cooler
too long, it hurts to watch
fading away. Tonight, it's all about Craig the Gold. Bye-bye, Craig the Cooler. Bye-bye. I'm not going to get picked on anymore in the chat room. I'm not going to get picked on anymore in the chat room.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace.
This is it, baby. Tonight is the night. The first of our unveiling of Order of Finish prediction. We start with the ACC. We're going to move quickly on to the Big 12, then the Big 10, then the Southeastern Conference. Let's go. I see there is a few non-believers left in the PATC family. A couple of Einsteins still does not believe. Well, after this Order of Finish prediction, you are all gonna be amazed, and I'm gonna keep reminding you of these predictions. I'm gonna keep reminding you as the season goes on, as we check the Atlantic Coast Conference race. It's going to mirror my prediction. Absolutely. 100%. Now, I had to make some very difficult decisions. Very difficult decisions. But I made them. Somebody has to do it. I had to make it was, between 6 and 5, 5 and 4, that 2 and 3 spot. Holy smokes. But I made my decision. And I'm sticking to it. We're also going to be talking about, this could be this month. I'm talking about this month. Could be a window onto the future. We could be looking out onto something here. The Southeastern Conference is going to be making their decision on whether to go to 9 conference games for the 2026 season, 2027 season. And it looks like it's going to happen this month. The title of this program is the SEC will move towards 9 conference games sooner or later. And the later ain't going to be a long time out. The Southeastern Conference is going to go to 9 games. And when it does, and when it's one of those, it's going to be one of those moments. Now, it might not happen for the 2026 season. I got a feeling that it's going to happen for the 2027 season. But let me say this. When it happens, and I know a lot of you out there says, nah, Greg, come on. They've been talking about this forever. Okay. We're just going to have to agree to disagree, because when this happens, it's going to be one of those things where nobody is really going to be surprised, but yet they're going to be shocked. Logically, most people know this is eventually going to happen. Or they believe it's going to happen, logically. But when it happens, there's going to be a, whoa, wow. And that ooh and wah is about a whole lot of other things that are percolating. The Southeastern Conference going to 9 conference games. The sooner they do it is an indication of how quick the window of expansion of the SEC is going to happen. The Southeastern Conference, the quicker they get that 9-game conference schedule bolted in, decided on, decisions with the ESPN, all that is signed, sealed, and delivered. The quicker that happens, now we're talking about a whole new landscape. That's how important, that's how dramatic I believe that 9th conference game, the ripple effects off of that, I think are going to be huge. And I think it's going to be happening pretty quick. I do not foresee the Southeastern Conference staying at 8 conference games for the 2027 football season. And we are either going to get our answer this month in August or sometime early in 2026. In other words, they might decide this month to kick the can down the road. I don't think so, but they might kick the can down the road just a little bit further down the road, but they're going to 9, guys. guys and gals, they are going to 9. PATC firmly believes that. Because we firmly, and I mean, we hold a very strong opinion, a position that the Southeastern Conference is not going to be a 16-team football conference, basketball conference, baseball conference, softball conference in year 2029, in year 2030. And when the Southeastern Conference finally decides to bolt down this decision to go to 9 conference games, now when that becomes a reality, now the arguments, the discussions, the talking points, they're all going to change a little bit within the Southeastern Conference and outside the Southeastern Conference. But especially within the Southeastern Conference. When they go to 9 conference games, they're going to be bringing more money in. When they go to 9 conference games, the ability for a Southeastern Conference football program to play 8 home games 2 times out of every 5 years, that's going to go away. It's going to be much more difficult to accumulate the wins, and they're going to acknowledge that, and they're going to make decisions acknowledging that, right? They're going to be... I'm not even going to fight the college football playoff battle. I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm not going to have to do that tonight. But when the Southeastern Conference goes to 9 games, that is going to be it. The quicker they do it, the quicker the window gets opened on conference expansion. Now, we are going to go over just a little bit. There's not much there, but there's something there. The Kentucky Wildcats athletic director in what he said in public. The Kentucky Wildcats athletic director, Mitch Barnhart. Kentucky would like the conference to stay at 8 conference games. He has made that perfectly clear. So has Arkansas, so has Mississippi State. But I think that argument is going to... It's going to be perished. It's going to be washed away. Pretty soon. I think sooner rather than later. So we are going to talk about what Mitch Barnett said of Kentucky. We are going to go through the ACC Order of Finish prediction from Greg the Gold. And then there is I would keep your head on a swivel. I'm not going to be able to produce the information tonight. So I would keep your head on a swivel. There is information out there. Let me put it this way. There is information out there that has been captured by an associate of BTM. And it's an information that is communicated not by word of mouth, not by an email, or it is by an email, but there is a document. So we believe we know something, but this is the tricky part. We are not being played. We know we're not being played. We are going to try to confirm this information, and we believe we have a very good outlet to confirm the information. And once we do, we are going to be coming on live the moment we get this somewhat, the moment we get this confirmed. It has to do with the Big Ten. It has to do with their interest to expand the conference. And so we're not going to talk about it tonight, but we are going to talk about it soon, I believe. So I want to make sure that you got this show, you got your notifications turned on. This ain't going to be something that we are going to be sitting on, 3 weeks from now. I don't believe. So I would keep your notifications turned on. I will say this. The Big Ten has been very active. They've been very active, and they've been very active, and the list has turned out to be pretty damn short. And we think we've got it. So, but it would be inappropriate to talk about it in any detail tonight, because we're going to do something here. We got to check out a few things. And I'm kind of putting this out there because there's a chance that some other person is going to be able to. This is gettable. I'm not going to go any more than that. If somebody scoops me, that's fine. I got no problem with that. We are going to make sure we got this confirmed. But, you might hear this from somebody else. A Big Ten, very active, very interested in a very short candidates list. So keep your head on a swivel for tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. Hopefully it doesn't go any further than that. Okay. All right. So let's get to it. Helmer Hennessy, SEC to 9 conference games, same year as the Big Scoop. That's a good question. That is a good question. Same year as Big Scoop or Small Scoop. Right? Good question, Helmer Henderson. I do not know the answer. It very well could be a yes. Thank you for the super chat, Helmer Henderson. Thank you for your generosity, as always. Appreciate it. The Big Lubbock. Greg, if you pick Texas Tech to go 0-12, so Texas Tech will go 12-0. I will push for a statue of Minnesota Chiller next to Buddy Holly. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. The Big Lubbock. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it. I'm not going to have Texas Tech go 0-12. I'm not going to have Texas Tech go 0-12. So I apologize about that. But look, number one, you want me to pick your team to win the conference this year. That's the reality. No more reverse psychology, double reverse psychology, triple reverse psychology. No. You want Greg the Gold to pick your team to win the conference. I think Texas Tech is going to have a very successful year in regards to the expectations of years previous. I don't know if it's going to be good enough for Joey McGuire and for the Big Lubbock, or for David Floyd, or for all the other Red Raider Nation that is part of the PATC family. Mr. Bailey, Mr. Hunter, Mr. Joiner. Quinton Joiner, I think, is going to be, if he can hang on the ball, if he can hang on the football. Of course, Lee Hunter, what I'm talking about, and David Bailey, they've got dudes. I'm a little questionable. I have a little bit of a, the Red Baron, Mr. Morton. Baron Morton is a good quarterback. He is. He is. He's thrown for a lot of yards. He's played a lot of snaps. But if there is something about him, I don't know. I don't know if he can make enough plays when everything is blown up on him. He's a good quarterback, but I don't know if he can get to the next level. Like, I don't know if he can be the ultimate superstar and carry the Red Raiders to a victory in which everything else is not going so well. And sometimes you need that out of your quarterback. Morton's a good quarterback. He's thrown for over 3,000 yards. I know he's a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's the guy. I don't know if he's, his fifth year? I don't know if he's the guy. That's my problem. It's the same problem, but a little bit different. I have the same problem. Now I'm going to really get yelled at. I'm really going to get yelled at here. I'm really going to get yelled at. Oh, I'm going to get yelled at by Big 12 people, by football people. I'm going to get yelled at by everybody when I say this. Oh, here it goes. This is why we are the most unpopular college football YouTube channel in the country. I have the same problem with Avery Johnson, but it's the reverse. Avery Johnson can make those plays, but can he make the plays that Morton can make? Is Avery Johnson going to be consistent enough? If it's a 3rd and 7 and the tight end does an 8-yard route, is Avery Johnson going to be able to put the ball where he needs to put it? I think so. But I'm not sure. I just can't get. That's why when I look at Sam Levitt, I'm like, holy smokes. And Rocco Beck, I have more. So that's my problem with Texas Tech. But I recognize, I think it's not just hype. I mean, they got talent. Quinton Joiner, if there are USC Trojans in the chat room, Quinton Joiner is I think the people of Lubbock are going to fall in love with Joiner. That kid's got skills. I know there's other bigger names in the portal, blah, blah, blah. And I've always talked about Lee Hunter. When I watch Lee Hunter for the Red Raiders is going to be a problem for the other teams. Baylor from Stanford is going to be a problem for the other team. But Quinton Joiner, he's got the only reason why he did not completely... he fell apart against the Gophers, really. And before he fell apart against the Gophers, he was fumbling in practice in Southern California. So if the reports coming out of Lubbock is that Joiner is able to hang on to the football, if the football becomes the program, then it's going to be very difficult to stop Joiner. I mean, that kid has elite talent. And that is going to be very obvious very early on. Texas Tech, I'm going on a big Texas Tech rant here. Not a rant, but I'm just going off in a tangent. Texas Tech plays Utah, what is it, fifth week out of week 4, week 5, let me know in the chat room. I mean, that game, I talk about the Louisville-Miami game, which I'm going to talk about tonight because we made our ACC prediction. But that Texas Tech-Utah game, that is another game in which, like the Oklahoma-Michigan game, the Louisville-Miami game, the Texas Tech-Utah game is going to tell us so much. And I can't wait for it. I cannot wait for it. I wish that game was tonight. I want to see the Utah offensive line against Lee Hunter and Baylor. I want to see it. I want to see Dampier. I want to see this. So, anyways, Quinton Joiner against the Utah Utes. Utah, you better buckle up. You better buckle up. Anyways, I went off on a tangent. Big Lubbock, thank you so very much. I appreciate your generosity as always. But we're not going to do the Big 12 predictions tonight. We are focusing in on the ACC. Nitwit, Penn State keeping the lights on. Penn State receiving too much love, Greg. May want to look at Ohio State for the Big Ten chat. Jeez. My goodness. You know what? Nitwit, that is an incredible super chat. Very generous super chat. I thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on. However, I hope you take this in the spirit that I'm given. With a comment like that, with a super chat like that.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest.
Penn State is not getting too much love. Penn State is not going to be derailed by Greg the Gold. That ain't happening. It just ain't happening. I think Pena is going to be an incredible addition. We talk about transfers for Texas Tech, Penn State, the wide receiver transfers coming on in. Hudson, USC. You talk about the great running backs. You talk about Dennis Sutton. I mean, Penn State is going to win the Big Ten championship. Penn State is going to win the Big Ten championship, and they're going to go on to the playoffs, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them in the playoffs. They're going to get to the semifinals. But you got Clemson and you've got Texas. Clemson, Texas, Penn State. They're not getting too much love. Nope. I don't think so. That is one hell of a football team. That is one hell of a football team. Penn State, this is it, baby. This is it. Greg the Gold, I am not going to derail you. Not that. I don't think it's possible. I do not think it's possible. Nitwit, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate your incredible generosity. Helmer Hennison, who wins more upsets? Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Iowa? That's a great question because I got to be honest with you, Mr. Henderson. I don't think... Okay, I'm going to get in trouble again. But how do I say this? Minnesota is not going to be in many games where they are the underdog. The Gophers are going to be the underdog against the Buckeyes and the Ducks. And maybe, just maybe, they're going to be the underdog at Iowa City. But I'm not even sure about. I don't think there are games that the Gophers are going to be upsetting anybody. Now, I would love it if they beat the Buckeyes because I'm going to be talking smack to Moen. I would love if they could go to Eugene, Oregon, but they're on the road on both those games. I think the Gophers are only going to possibly have one upset as they go on to 9-3 or 8-4. Now, Wisconsin, Iowa, they're probably going to have more room for upset wins. But the Gophers are going to sweep the Badgers and the Hawkeyes. So, Hammer Hennison, my answer would be, boy, that's a tough one. That's a coin flip for Wisconsin and Iowa. I will go ahead and take Iowa. Iowa will have the more upset wins. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Appreciate it so very much. So very much. Greg the Cold jinxed us in hockey. But that was Greg the Cooler. It's no more Greg the Cooler. No more Greg the Cooler. Okay, we've got a stack show tonight. Not really a stack show, but we've got some stuff we want to talk about. Ortho's in the house, David Floyd. The Big Ten needs to add Texas Tech as soon as possible. Mr. Floyd, I know you love your Red Raiders. I get it. But why would you want your Texas Tech Red Raiders to join the Big Ten Conference when the Big Ten Conference sucks? When the middle of the conference, when the bottom of the conference isn't even worthwhile to play against? That's what I'm being told, David Floyd, by you and other Red Raider Nation. Why would you want to join a conference that is so stuck in poverty, bad ratings, bad football fields, terrible fan bases that have a terrible accent like myself? Why would you want to join the Big Ten? Thanks for coming on in, David Floyd. I very much appreciate it. John Dry is in the house. Gratian Ganoush, MBM, AMAC is in the house. Again, Nitwit, thank you so very much for your incredible generosity. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Dante's Inferno Purgatory, Edward the Auburn Tiger. Edward the Auburn Tiger is in the house. Nick Kelso, Jason Spangler, Jay Chapman, the Architect, the Big Lubbock, of course, BYU football is in the house. Georgia lost to commit to Texas Tech. Go Big 12, Wet Blanket is here. Texas Tech is about to dominate the portal. Mick Stevens, Stormy Cyclone, big games in week 1. Big games in week 1. And of course, you cannot rule out, you cannot talk about what? No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Week 0. We have a big game in week 0. Iowa State, Kansas State. Helms Light is in the house. Bob Swanger. Who else is here? Call Me David. Jason Spangler. The Big Gun Shop is here. The Big Gun Shop. Aaron Frazier is here. Tough Tony. There will be a dog in Iowa City. Probably. Most likely. But we'll see. Stephen Vitt is in the house. I'm not buying the Texas hype. They'll be good, but not national champ elite. Well, as you know, Stephen Vitt, the Ohio Bobcat. I am the conductor on the Manning hype train, and I got the Texas Longhorns winning it all. Greg is getting chippy tonight. Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Morris Simmons is in the house. Sky is here. Ryan Brooks, late night PATC, late night LSU Tiger. I've enjoyed watching I've only watched the first episode of the SEC documentary on Netflix. I've enjoyed it. I like that style of documentary. I like the drama. I like the interaction, behind the scenes, getting ready for the game, talk about it afterwards. I've enjoyed it. In the first episode was a lot of LSU Tigers, Brian Kelly. I've liked it very much. Thomas is in the house. Arnegad is here. Taco. Hi, Taco. Thanks for coming on in. Curtis is in the house. Skaven is here. Go Big Red is coming for the 5 bits of the broken chat. I will say this. I think the Gophers have a better chance of beating Iowa and Wisconsin than they do Nebraska. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Minnesota's going to beat Nebraska once again. But I think not only do I think Minnesota is going to finish ahead of Wisconsin and Iowa in the conference race, I think Nebraska will as well. Nebraska hasn't won more than 3 conference. They've had one season in the last 9 years where they've won more than 3 conference games in a season. This is going to be the second season they do it. I think they're going to finish ahead of the Badgers and the Hawkeyes. Brian Kelly better make the playoffs or he will be run out. Okay, let's do it. All right. First, let's get to the ACC Order of Finish prediction. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Mitch Barnhart, the Kentucky athletic director, as he said something in public. about the SEC football schedule and the possibility of the conference expanding. Mitch Barnhart, Kentucky Wildcats athletic director. We are going to get into that in the back half of the monologue. But we are going to start. This is it. I cannot believe we are here. We have done the Atlantic Coast Conference, first team defense, first team offense, first team special teams. We've done spotlight series. We've talked football. I made my way too early predictions on the ACC. And now tonight is the official prediction. This is cemented. No matter what happens with injuries, no matter what happens, no excuses. This is it, baby. We've broken down all the tape, all the measurables. The new offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. We've done a psychoanalyst. We've done measurements on. We've done all that stuff. All that mental stuff. Psychoanalysis. That's the word I was trying to come up with. We've done a psychoanalysis. We've done everything. So, we are now going to give you the official PATC Order of Finish prediction for the 2025 ACC. No, we did not use the All-State Playoff Predictor. Ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to do this again with the Big 10, with the Big 12, with the SEC. The PATC ACC Order of Finish prediction for the 2025 season. Stanford, 17. Now, Stanford has made a lot of moves. Stanford has made a lot of moves in their office, right? General manager this, general manager that, data analysis this, data analysis that. But there is, look, Stanford is probably not going to win a football game in the ACC this year. They're probably not going to beat Hawaii on August 23rd. Yes, they play Hawaii when hours after Farmageddon has been completed in Dublin, Ireland. Stanford will probably be losing to Iowa. Now, they got a home game against Boston College at Virginia early in September or middle of September. So we are going to learn real quick if Stanford can get out of the bottom. I don't think they can. Elijah Brown, I'm not. This offense, they are going to be dead on their backs. But what is going to be more interesting is what happens in the offseason. What do they do with the portal? Their coaching situation, right? You got Frank Wright, who's an interim head coach. So you've got a whole lot of things that got to be worked out at Stanford. They're going for it. Mr. Luck is there. They brought in people. We'll see what happens. The offseason is going to be more interesting than the season itself for the Stanford Cardinal. Wake Forest, when we just did a spotlight on Wake Forest. Again, Bobby Ashford, probably going to be the quarterback. Demon Claiborne. Again, they're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to win low-scoring football games. but I don't see it. I see them at the bottom of the conference. And I don't know how they're going to escape it. The Virginia Cavaliers, we've done a spotlight on, of course, Virginia. Chandler Morris is an interesting quarterback. Their head coach, Tony Elliott, may get on the hot seat early in the season. But I think Virginia is going to beat Stanford. I think they're going to, they play Wake Forest late in the season. I think Virginia is going to win enough conference games to not be at the bottom. California, I think it is very... look, California, I could have put them at 16. The only reason I did not is because I don't think their schedule is all that bad. And they got Devin Brown. I think Devin Brown might win them a game. Now, the Golden Gophers go to California. Third week of the season. So, of course, I expect my Gophers to win. But, if California beats the Gophers, then my Gophers are in more trouble than I thought. And the Golden Bears might be a little bit better than I thought. But I don't think that's going to happen. California at number 14. Boston College. I've got them at 13. Mostly, okay, I really think they're down this year. I really think they're down. They've got a quarterback battle going on. I don't like either quarterback. I do like Turbo Richard. We talked about the running back, Turbo Richard. We talked about him. He's got juice. Absolute juice. Lewis Bond and Reed Harris. Wide receivers. They've got some juice on that offense. Just like they had last year under Thomas Castellanos. So I don't think they're at the bottom, but I don't think they're in the middle of the conference either. I've got a lot of faith in Bill O'Brien. I do. I think that locker room is going to be okay, all that stuff. They have the intangibles, but they did lose a lot. They did lose a lot. Now, when it comes to the Syracuse Orange, they lost a lot from last year. They lost Pena, their wide receiver. Of course, they lost their quarterback, who did not have any more eligibility. The great transfer from Ohio State Buckeyes. Ricky Collins, the quarterback. I have to believe that Steve Angeli is going to be QB1. I've got to think that. Steve Angeli is I think he can be a very good quarterback. But when I hear reports that he's not the clear number one, I don't know what's going on. Fran Brown did a great job last year. A fantastic job last year. So I don't want to... Syracuse 12 is the best spot that I could put him in. Virginia Tech is the next two teams. Virginia Tech and North Carolina State. This is where my prediction could go belly up. It definitely could go belly up. Tyrone Drones, this has got to be the year. He's got to win games for the Hokies. I mean, he's got to take it on himself. He's got to be absolutely outstanding in a couple of those games where the Hokies would lose, but somehow he makes it happen. Somehow he gets the win. I do like, and I talked about this before with the Hokies. I do like their interior defensive line. Virginia Tech is one of those, I don't want to spoil what I'm about. There is two teams in the ACC in which they're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. The other team is Virginia Tech. I think they got some real guys there. Gilliam and Copeland. I talked about them a couple of months ago on a live show. Virginia Tech, I think, has stuff that the other teams do not have. But I still cannot go past 11. I still could not do it. They do got a Bowling Green transfer. The running back, Mr. Stewart, interesting dude. Very interesting dude. We're going to watch Stewart. We're going to watch Drones. We're going to watch that interior defense against the South Carolina Gamecocks on a Sunday afternoon. And I'm going to try to do a watch party on that game before we do the Miami Notre Dame game. I might have to start a little bit late, but I am planning to do the South Carolina Virginia Tech watch party. I want to watch that game. You guys know how interested I am in that South Carolina team. Virginia Tech, there is some juice there. But again, I couldn't quite get them past 11. I could not do it. Could not do it. North Carolina State, again, I just feel terrible. I feel terrible what I did with North Carolina State last year. I fell in love with them. I dated North Carolina State. I gave North Carolina State flowers, box of chocolates. I took the Wolfpack out to the movies. We fell in love. We got married. And then everything went pear-shaped. It was an absolute catastrophe. C.J. Bailey? Nah, I don't know. Justin Jolly, he's still there. I love Justin Jolly. They lost Casey Concepcion. I don't know, guys. Okay, this was the highest I could put the Wolfpack. Number 10. I could have put them at 11. I could have put them at 12. I could have put them at 13. This is the highest I could have put the Wolfpack. And maybe because I felt so bad what I did to them last year by falling in love with them, I'm going to put them at number 10 because this is the year of Greg the Gold. So, North Carolina State, number 10. The Pittsburgh Panthers. Well, I told all of you yesterday that I was going to have the Pittsburgh Panthers number 9. They're not in the top 8. They're not in the bottom 8. They're not in the top 8. They're not in the bottom 8. The Panthers have dudes. Daniel Gygax. Daniel Gygax. Lewis Oliver. Lewis and Daniel, listen to me. Pittsburgh has dudes. They've got them. You know they've got them. Desmond Reed, a great third down back. Tremendous third down back. Get him out of the backfield. He's there. He's going to catch the ball. Their linebackers are sensational. Absolutely sensational. You want to start with Rasheem Biles, but that's not even the superstar. But Rasheem Biles is going to be playing in the NFL. But they've got a first-round draft pick, linebacker, Kyle Lewis. They've got a secondary, Rashad Battle. But Kyle Lewis is a demon. The Panthers have got dudes. But the problem with the Pittsburgh Panthers, Daniel Gygax. Greg, not worried about Pitt. West Virginia will win by at least 2 touchdowns in the backyard brawl. Lewis, Pitt made a huge mistake not building the campus stadium. All of that may be correct, but I'm telling you, the Pittsburgh Panthers have got dudes. But the problem, and we saw it last year, and so So when we watch Pittsburgh, now who they start the season here. They start the season against Duquesne, Central Michigan, and of course that September 13th game against West Virginia. Then they play Louisville, Boston College, at Florida State, at Syracuse. Okay. Here's the thing. We watched it last year. We watched it all unfold, and I'm afraid we're going to watch it all unfold again this year. Eli Holstein, and I'm not going to give him all the blame. Not going to give him all the blame, but Eli Holstein got beat up last year. And I believe, and I'm going to say this. It seems like that Eli Holstein needs to get hit before he starts playing. Like, he needs to get hit. He needs to get pushed to the ground. He needs to get stomped on. He needs to get his face mask twisted. And then he starts to get into the game. Pittsburgh collapsed last year. Their collapse coincided with Eli Holstein being completely beat up. Part of it was the Pittsburgh offensive line, but part of it is Eli Holstein not being able to pull the trigger on a 3-step drop, on a 5-step drop, bam, 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 let it go. He rarely did that. It was a double pump here, look off here. He's always trying to take the safety away from the play so he can dump it off to Desmond Reed. In the meantime, he's letting the defense bull rush their offensive line, and they get to him. They get to him, they get to him, they get to him. He gets hammered. And I think that's probably what's going to happen this year. I'm going to watch that Pittsburgh-West Virginia game. One of the things I'm going to be watching for, does Eli Holstein get rid of the damn ball? Does he get rid of the damn ball? Pittsburgh, number 9. They've got too much talent to finish in the bottom 8 of the conference, in my opinion. All right, now for the top 8. For the top 8, and I'm going to tell you guys something. There is 3 teams that I had the most difficulties. Pittsburgh was the easiest prediction. They're going to finish 9th. The most difficult teams that I had to predict was Miami, Louisville, and Duke. Those 3 teams I suffered over. But that's what I do for you all. That is what I do. I suffered over it. Here it is. Florida State finishes 8th. North Carolina finishes 7th. Duke 6th. SMU 5. Georgia Tech 4. Louisville 3. Miami 2. Clemson 1. And I had the most difficulty with Miami, Louisville, and Duke. Florida State, this is as high as I could go. I believe that Florida State should be in the SMU, Duke, North Carolina batch. But I got them at the bottom of the batch. Thomas Castellanos, he's going to win some games. He's going to lose some games. I think the defense is going to be outstanding. But I cannot go there with the Florida State offense. Not yet. Not what happened last year. I cannot see that complete turnaround from last year to this year. And I don't think, I think Thomas Castellanos is a tough kid. Hopefully he stays healthy. He's not going to have a high completion percentage. But there is a ceiling on him. And I look at Gio Lopez, he's got a higher ceiling. Brandon Jennings, he's got a higher ceiling. I'll get to Mensah in a moment. He's got a higher ceiling. Haynes King, I would have Haynes King over Thomas Castellanos. Miller Moss, Carson Beck, Clay Klubnik, Florida State, I don't. Number 8 is as far as I could go. North Carolina, well, this was a quick kick. It was 3rd down and 15, and I just kicked it. I punted it away. I punted the ball away. You can yell at me. You can do whatever you want. North Carolina, I don't think it's going to be a collapse. I think they're going to be okay. I think Gio Lopez is going to surprise people. I even think their schedule kind of works out for them. We talked about it when we did the spotlight on North Carolina. The running backs, I'm not, there are things about this team that I'm not all on board with, right? No, I think their secondary is going to be pretty good. The Tower Hill secondary, we talked about Marcus Allen and Mr. Cost out there, cornerbacks. North Carolina, number 7. Okay. But number 6, Duke, is the team that I could be the most wrong on in my prediction. If I'm wrong about Miami or Louisville, I think I'm only going to be one off. But Duke's got a chance. The Duke Blue Devils got a chance. While Kreese Moore, the running back, I love him. I love Darren Mensah. I absolutely adore Mr. Mensah. The money that Duke spent on him was a lot of money, but I love this guy. Watch the Tulane versus Kansas State game of last year. If you don't think Mekhi Hughes is going to be a great running back for Oregon, and if you don't think Darian Mensah is going to be a great quarterback for Duke, watch that football game. Mensah can do so many more things than Mr. Murphy, the quarterback last year of Duke. Mensah could be, now I want everybody to take this in the spirit that I'm giving it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to get in trouble with everybody here, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Darian Mensah could be the Johnny Manziel of the Duke Blue Devils. I'm not talking about off the field. Well, some of it I'm talking about off the field. I'm not talking about the bad stuff, but I'm talking about the marketing, the branding, the interest. But I'm also talking about what happens on the field. Go look at Johnny Manziel's stats at Texas A&M. Go look at them. Google it. It wasn't just hype. It wasn't just, style. It was damn statistics. Johnny Manziel was a hell of a quarterback at Texas A&M. He was a hell of a quarterback at Texas A&M. They didn't win the SEC. But Darian Mensah is going to be a hell of a quarterback for Duke. And because of that, Duke is the biggest wild card. We talked about the great leadership of Terry Moore, the safety, when we did the spotlight on it. Chandler Rivers, cornerback, good secondary. So, guys, we're going to have to watch Mensah here. They play Illinois on September 6th. You got Luke Altmaier. You've got Darian Mensah. And then Duke plays Tulane. You're going to have Jake Ratzlaff, Darian Mensah. Duke's got a very interesting season. Again, all they do is win. They won 9 games last year. And they had a quarterback. With all respect in the world, they had a quarterback they had to drag over the line. They had to drag him into the winner's circle. This year, they got a quarterback that's going to be dragging the rest of the team into the winner's circle. If Duke would have had Mensah last year, Duke would have beaten SMU. SMU would not have been in the playoffs. So, again, I got them 6, and they could finish 2nd. They could finish 3rd. Boy, I struggled with Duke. I'm still struggling with Duke. As I'm sitting here talking, I'm struggling with Duke. SMU Mustangs, I got them number 5. I do not think they're going to collapse. Now, they missed their great running back. They're going to have a freshman, sophomore running backs in there. We've talked about it. I'm a little nervous of that running game. Right? They're missing their big guy. They're missing their great player. Kevin Jennings, I think, is going to be better. Even better this year. They got that great safety, again, great cornerbacks. They got another, SMU's got a great secondary. SMU number 5, I do not think they are going to collapse. They've got a more challenging football schedule this year than last year, but still it's a schedule that's going to afford them the opportunity to win a whole lot of games. They do play Clemson, they do play Miami, they do play Louisville, they play California, Boston College, Wake Forest, Stanford. They play the bottom teams of the conference as well. And now Georgia Tech, number 4. Haynes King is sort of like Eli Holstein. Haynes King has got to keep himself healthy. He's got to keep himself healthy. Jamal Haynes is an absolute stud. Malik Rutherford, Efford, the great linebacker. Georgia Tech is going to have they're going to have a better team this year than they had last year, even though they lost a great wide receiver to the Auburn Tigers. Georgia Tech, number 4. Louisville, Miami. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth. Do-si-do. I've had Louisville as number 2 more than I've had Miami. Even though Louisville has to go to Miami, I still had Louisville ahead of Miami. But there's something here that I cannot ignore. There is a difference between Miami and Louisville that I had to say, I got to give Miami the nod. I think Miami is going to make the college football playoffs. Even if they lose to Notre Dame, I think they're still going to get into it. That Florida game is looking better and better. Florida, they got some really bad news, man. They lost Dallas Wilson. He's going to be out for a very long, it sounds like he's going to be out for a very long time. Dallas Wilson was their freshman receiver who had an outstanding spring practice, and now he got injured in August camp. They've had some injuries over there at Florida. So that game for Miami is looking to be, look like they got a better shot here at winning a lot of games. But the biggest difference between Miami and Louisville is in the line of scrimmage. I can't look past it anymore. Louisville does not have what Miami has. I love Louisville. And I'm going to have them missing the playoffs by just a little bit. I love Isaac Brown. I love Miller Moss and Jeff Brown's offense. Miller Moss and Jeff Brown's offense is the perfect offense for Miller Moss. Perfect. Jeff Brown, he always has a hot route receiver. It's like a West Coast offense. Rarely does Louisville max protect, but they're always going to have somebody available coming out of the backfield. They're going to have that tight end do a quick out route. They're going to have something there for Miller Moss. And Miller Moss is a smart dude, and it's going to be the perfect offense. Chris Bell, wide receiver. I think Louisville's going to have an outstanding team this year. I think they barely miss the playoffs. They're going to be, look guys, they're going to be 8-1 when they go against Clemson at home. Then at SMU, and then they finish the season at Kentucky. They are going to be 8-1. 8-1. You got to remember something. We talked about this earlier about Louisville. They do not play Georgia Tech. They do not play Duke. They don't play North Carolina. They don't play Florida State. So they play the bottom half of the conference. And they're going to have one hell of a team. So Louisville Cardinals are going to miss the playoffs by the closest. It's going to be Heartbreak City, and I wish I could get them in the playoffs, but I cannot quite get them in there. But maybe I'm going to be wrong. But Louisville finishes number 3. Miami number 2. I think the reports coming out of camp, Carson Beck, he's rifling the football. His elbow looks great. Mark Fletcher, Ruben Bain, Mesamore. They've got the defensive line. They've got a great offensive line. The wide receiver room is not like it was last year, and so that's going to be an issue. The defense has got to be better. It has to be better. It will be better. Corey Heatherman, the new defensive coordinator. Miami is going to finish number 2. Miami is going to make the college football playoffs, even if they lose that first game against Notre Dame. And then Clemson, number 1. And I don't know what more I could say about the Clemson Tigers. Parker Woods, Gideon Davidson, the running back. Keep your eye on him, the true freshman running back. Clay Kubnick, the wide receiver room. Antonio Williams, he's not injured. He is healthy. They've got guys all over the place. Clemson, number 1 in the ACC. So I've got Clemson and Miami going to the playoffs. I got Louisville coming up just a little bit short. I got Georgia Tech being better than they were last year. I got SMU sliding just a little bit And then there is Duke. Duke is the wild card in the ACC. Duke is the wild card. Keep your eye on the Duke-Illinois football game. Holy smokes. I am ready to watch that game, baby. I am ready to watch that game. It is going to be... Wow, are we going to learn a lot? Duke, Illinois. Lewis says Duke will beat Illinois. Okay, we got more to get to. Let's talk about... Oh, wait, we got a super chat. I do apologize. I got on a tangent there. Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Thank you for your incredible super chat. Unbelievable. Thank you for your generosity, sir. UNC has a ton of questions. An easy schedule isn't one of them. UNC plays 6 teams below them in your rankings and only 2 above them. And that's why I could not have North Carolina be any lower. I could not put North Carolina lower than 7. But I could not have North Carolina above Duke. So I can't do that. And I think Lopez, he might be pretty good. He'll probably be better next in 2026 than he is in 25, but I couldn't put him ahead of Duke. Now, maybe SMU slides a little bit. North Carolina goes ahead of SMU, but I could not put North Carolina ahead of Duke or Georgia Tech. But I understand, Preston from Greensboro. I do get it, and you know what? The tickets have been sold for the Tar Heels football season. So much interest in North Carolina. I believe we're going to be doing that watch party, North Carolina TCU, if I have a voice left. After all the watch parties we're going to be doing in the first weekend, hopefully I have a voice left for the UNC TCU game. Thank you, Preston from Greensboro. I appreciate your generosity so very much. Lewis, $10 for 10 wins for Duke. Wow. Lewis is 10. Now, if Duke wins 10, they got a shot for the playoffs. It kind of depends if they win, if they snag one of those big victories against an ACC opponent. 9 wins is completely doable. If they go to 10, holy smokes. I love Darian Mensah. I love him. And don't have to worry about it. It's no more Greg the Cooler. It's Greg the Gold. Darian Mensah, he's got a shot to be the Duke Blue Devils' Johnny Manziel for this season. He made so many plays. Mensah made so many plays. Off-schedule plays for Tulane last year, where everything went pear-shaped in the play, but Mensah still made the play a positive play for the Tulane Green Wave. That's the stuff that you look at. I mean, that's why everybody went after him in the portal. That's why Duke had to give him the big money, because they see that. The scouts saw what Mensah was all about at Tulane. You project that with Duke, I don't know. I think it's going to be a very exciting season, and that's the team that I probably got the most wrong. Lewis, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it so very much. Okay, let's get to Mitch Barnhart. knows that the 8-game SEC schedule is best for Kentucky. I think I'm going to pop this up a bit more. Hopefully people can see that a little bit better. It will only be just a short little article here. It will only be a matter of time before the Southeastern Conference makes a final decision on moving to a possible 9-game schedule. The league currently plays in an 8-game schedule, with each member school playing 4 non-conference contests throughout the season. A 9-game schedule is possible in the future, and Kentucky Athletics Director Mitch Barnhart expects that decision is going to obviously come pretty quick. All right. A 9-game schedule is possible in the future, and Mitch Barnhart thinks that this decision is going to be coming pretty quickly. We believe it's going to be in this month. Mitch Barnhart says he believes it's going to be in this month. And you know what? They could say 8 games. 8 games for 2026. They could. No question about it. But guys, I got to be honest with you. The chatter is very heavy on this. The Southeastern Conference they're going to go to 9 relatively quickly. They've got plans. They could stay at 8 for 2026. But I think the 9 games is right around the corner here at peak around the corner. Barnhart favors the current 8-game format, which allows the Wildcats to play as many as 8 home games per year. The format also gives the Wildcats 3 home games against non-conference teams per season, combined with an alternating home and home contest against in-state foe Louisville. There's no mystery on where I stand, Barnhart said. 8's better for Kentucky. There's obviously financial components to it. There's competitive components to it. There's components to it as it relates to our ability to have 7 home games or 8 home games. Now, I'm going to continue on. I'm not going to go on a rant. We've been fortunate about every 2+ years, we've been able to have 8 home games. So 2 times out of every 5 years, Kentucky has 8 home games with 8 conference games. Well, of course, Kentucky. Do you know how much an advantage that is for Kentucky versus any team in the Big Ten, versus any team in the... Okay, think about the middle of the Big Ten. Think about the middle of the Big 12 in any certain year. Kentucky's got way more opportunities to win that 7th game, that 6th game, that 8th game, to get to a bowl game. Yeah, it's quite obvious why Kentucky loves that, but then it becomes quite obvious why, the Big Ten does not like that. But it's an SEC decision. It's a Southeastern Conference decision, but I think this is going to go away as the dodo bird. 8 home games, 2 out of every 5 season. During the SEC media days last month, Commissioner Greg Sankey said the league is considering its options. We're going to continue to evaluate whether increasing the number of conference football games is appropriate for us, Sankey said last month. As I've said repeatedly, understanding how the CFP will evaluate strength of schedule and even strength of record is critically important in our decision making. PATC money shot number 1 of the article. There's probably a pretty good chance that's on the docket. And then some decisions come out of that, he said. Barnhart is telling us this month there is going to be a path that is going to be approved. 8 or 9 games. I happen to think that even if it's 8 games, it's only going to be for 1 more year. We shall see. We'll see what the decision is this month. This decision could be made tomorrow or next week or the week after that. So keep your head on a swivel. PATC money shot number 2 of the article. Barnhart, again, the Kentucky Wildcats athletic director, Barnhart added that league expansion is an ongoing possibility and didn't rule out any future additions. I think there's always change. And we keep talking about that at a pretty high level in different areas. Never say never to change. We'll be ready to respond to it. But I think our focus for what we're doing, what we've got to make sure that, number one, from the Southeastern Conference perspective, we're paying attention to the environment and the landscape within our teams and making sure that at Kentucky, we're ready to respond to what's going on in the world of college athletics. So, the athletic director says league expansion is an ongoing possibility. Not ruling out any future additions. I think there's always change. And we keep talking about it, that at a pretty high level in different areas. Now, I started this show by indicating that I think our conversation, at least here in the next week, is going to turn to not about how aggressive schools have been, but we think the Big Ten, we've got to, we'll talk about it at a later date, but we think the Big Ten has been pretty aggressive. We think they got a list, and it's a shorter list than I anticipated, but again, we got to confirm it. We're working on something here, ladies and gentlemen. We're working on it. And of course, I think the Southeastern Conference has been really active as well. I think everyone's been active. I think everything is active and fluid, as we've been talking about for the last 6 months. Nothing is settled, nothing is done, but there is a lot of stuff going on. A lot. And I don't know how an athletic director can tell you any differently, right? We keep talking about that at a pretty high level. And then the rest of the article, a month into the House settlement that changed the landscape of college athletics, Barnhart said Kentucky is adjusting to the changes as it continually shifts. The change that has occurred has been massive. Okay. So that is the article. Kentucky Today by Keith Taylor. Kentucky Today by Keith Taylor. Okay. Again, put down your comments in the comments section. I'm going to get to some of them as best I can. Edward the Auburn Tiger, the fact that no one will be watching Big Ten football tells you that no one is buying their 9-game strength of schedule, you're selling a swampland. That's Florida. I'm not selling swampland. No one is watching Big Ten football. Bo Weevil, Florida State and Miami to the Big Ten. Makes a lot of sense. Cranky Tiger, I'm here for the rant. Ortho 12, I'm surprised that the Big 12 wouldn't bite on Memphis. They're the same as UCF and Houston. Whew. Greg, cover Ross Bjork comments on the Big Noon kickoff. I don't know what he said about it. Is he unhappy about it? I don't know what he said about it. Okay, before we get to your phone calls, again, we went over the PATC official Order of Finish prediction for the 2025 season for the Atlantic Coast Conference. Stanford 17, Wake Forest, Virginia, California, Boston College, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, Pittsburgh, and then Florida State, North Carolina, Duke, SMU, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami, and Clemson. This is official. I cannot change it. I will not change it. We will continue to go back to this as we watch the ACC race unfold before us. But this is our official prediction. The next conference we're doing is the Big 12. The Big 12... that prediction is going to happen early next week. So keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel. And now let's get to your phone calls. Talk about anything in college football that you desire. Thanks for joining us here on a Thursday night. Thursday night, kind of late for us, but, we're going to be on late during the season, so get used to it. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333.
Call from
Lewis.
Lewis is on the line. Mr. Duke Blue Devil. He's got 10 wins. Possibly 11, possible 12, possible national championship. Go ahead. I appreciate you calling in, Sir Lewis. The floor is yours.
Well, thanks, Greg. Good evening. It's been a few days, probably a few weeks since I've called. I've caught your shows on the replay because it's a busy time of the year. But before we get to the season, I've been listening intently to the discussion about Duke. And Duke potentially for the SEC or the Big Ten. And of course, I've been a fan of West Virginia for 40 years and for Duke for about 35 years, ever since I enrolled there. And the two schools couldn't go through realignment any more differently. When West Virginia was trying to get into the Big 12 and the SEC back in 2011, it was all out in the public. Duke does things very quietly and very stealth, with a lot of very well-connected people that nobody knows about that are trying to do what they can. It's no guarantee that it's all going to work out for them, but they are doing it very quietly. But they're very confident. I mean, Duke has a very small, it's a very accessible, small situation when you go to the Final Four or you go to New York for a basketball game or the Gator Bowl. The president of the university is there and will talk to you. The athletic director is there. Adam Stern, the NBA commissioner, was at the Gator Bowl party for Duke, the one the fans went to. I mean, that's the kind of university it is. So I think they're doing all they can. I never thought I'd see the day. If you'd asked me 15 years ago that Duke would have a better chance statistically to get into the SEC than West Virginia, I would say that's crazy. Because Duke football, between 1995 and 2008, won 26 games. They won 26 games the last 3 seasons. And this season, they're poised to build on that. I'm not saying they will. We don't know until they start playing. I don't get too wrapped up where anybody puts someone preseason. But Manny Diaz's second season, and last season he got a team together pretty quickly. I mean, he had to come in and replace Elko and some players left.
Yeah.
And did relatively well. I think this year with a better quarterback, good defense, they're going to compete. And so we'll see what happens. I'm going to the Illinois game. It's not an easy trip down to Durham, but I'm going down to that game. I got my seats in the shade at the top of the on the 50-yard line underneath the building. It's going to be hot. Probably going to be 95 degrees that day because it's September for a noon game. It's going to be hot, but it'll be a big game. I'm looking forward to it and seeing what happens. But Greg, you talked a lot about Duke, but I suppose my question to you, do you think it's realistic that they can get into one of the Power 2 conferences? Certainly, everyone's vying for it. I know you've talked about it a lot, but is it realistic?
It's realistic in the world in which the Southeastern Conference decides to do the big scoop. And that is I think that's where the rubber is going to meet the road. Does the Southeastern Conference decide to do their historical expansion of 2 programs, or do they go 4 programs? And I talked about this before, and I know it's kind of convoluted, but it's like the best way I can put it. People who would deem to have better access to Greg Sankey, when they discuss the probability of expansion, when they talk about it, when they speculate it, they always talk about an expansion of 2 programs. The further you get out from those with the closest access to Greg Sankey, more people talk about, no, the SEC's got to go 4. They're going to go 4. They got to go 4. It's right for 4. The candidates are out there for 4. For them to check off every box, 4 is the answer. Going from 16 to 20, having 20, not having 18. This has got to be a major change for the Southeastern Conference. So a lot of it is predicated on that, not just for Duke, but for a few other for a handful of other programs. I think a lot of people are hoping that the SEC goes the big scoop. Because then that means the SEC is going to take some schools that the Big Ten is most likely targeting. Number 2, if the SEC does the big scoop, I got to tell you, it's probably going to be wildly successful, right? And the Big Ten it's all about market share, right? Trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to make sure that, so it might force the Big Ten, a big scoop from the SEC might finally force Notre Dame to say, we give up, we go to the Big Ten. If they go to the Big Ten, then that is a lot more grease in the skids for the Big Ten to have their own big scoop and not just go 2 programs, but go 4 programs. So
I still don't think Notre Dame's going to the Big Ten. I think they'll be independent in 2050.
Yeah, well, you could be right, but if the SEC and the Big Ten are building these conferences that go to 20 or beyond 20, the structure of college football is going to change, and I think it's going to be harder for Notre Dame, but we don't have to go down that path.
I hope you're right. That's what Duke needs, is a big scoop. But I just don't see it happening. Historically, the SEC's always done 2 things. Have happened. Even the Big Ten did 2 and then 2 a year later. I don't know if you call that last year a big scoop or not, but it all happens incrementally. Nobody wants to harm the rest of the ACC. So we really don't know. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I still think it's a couple of years away, but hey, it gives us a lot to talk about. But luckily, soon we'll be able to talk about football. Have a great show.
Beautiful.
I enjoyed your predictions, and we'll see where they are. Greg, have a good evening.
You got it. Thank you, Lewis. Appreciate it. Great call. Lewis, great call. And Lewis is going to the Duke-Illinois football game. Woo! My goodness. God, that's going to be great. That is going to be fantastic. Mireya Hernandez, Garcia, Rojas, Vargas, Flugar is in the house. The moderator who rules with an iron fist.
Call from
Tristan 5.
Tristan is on the line. The floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good, Greg. I hope you're doing well this evening.
I'm doing great. Doing great.
That's good. Listen, I wanted to have a follow-up comment based on some things that you had said previously. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't one of your Virginia contacts indicate that the SEC was exploring some kind of international, partnerships or something like that to try and get their brand going in other countries, right?
Well, yeah, but that was we reported that way before we ever talked to the Virginia Tech Money Perch or the University of Virginia official. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, everybody's exploring that. And that's a 10-year process, and it has begun. But go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I wanted to sort of throw out a few thoughts just to get your reaction to it as it relates to that. So I think we're talking about, obviously we're talking about the revenue sports. So it's football, basketball, and then would you categorize baseball as a revenue sport? I think the answer would be yes, but what do you think? Well,
for some Southeastern Conference teams, it definitely is a revenue. Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. Well, again, though, I don't know how much they're. I better not say it's a revenue sport, because I think some of those programs are going to be spending a lot of money for, I think they're going to be spending some of the rev share money, so I better not. There is some revenue being created in those sports. I don't know if it's more than they're going to. I don't know if the revenue is going to be higher than the expenditures going forward because you got more scholarships in baseball, right?
Yeah, it's a larger team. Yeah.
Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, they're going from 12.5 to 25, something like that. I don't know what the exact numbers are. So yeah, for some programs, and I think the money's going to be growing and growing and growing. But go ahead.
Well, I was just trying to think where they might be trying to go internationally, and I was trying to. Part of the answer, obviously, is what sports you can offer. So, American football seems to have a little bit of a foothold in Europe, with Germany and mostly in London. So I think the SEC could look to try and market some of its football there. And now, of course, they're playing that game in Dublin every year as well.
Yeah.
So American football in Europe is a possibility. And then basketball is popular. NBA basketball is popular in China as well as Europe. So that could be a possibility. And then I was thinking if they're going to categorize baseball as a revenue sport and try and push that internationally, you could get something going in possibly Japan, Mexico, Central America. So I think there might even be, if it's a revenue sport, if they pursue it that way, you could see opportunities for baseball in those countries. So that's very interesting. And do you think that that would prompt the SEC to adopt soccer as one of the sports that it offers? Because soccer, of course, is the most popular sport in the world.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know how you would sell that internationally. I mean, MLS can't even get a foothold international markets. A little bit with Mexico, but not much. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Football is such a different animal, and the European markets are growing attached to it every single year, more and more and more. It's quite evident. NFL keeps loading up more and more European football games. The Vikings play back-to-back weeks, back-to-back games in Europe this year. Because
oh, really?
Yes. The Vikings have a huge European following. They're just gigantic. It might be the biggest in the NFL. I mean, you know, the Cowboys and, of course, the Chiefs, but the Vikings, has a huge, huge following. There's Vikings clubs all over Europe. So,
okay.
Football is going to be a massive driver to it, then basketball. And I think everything else is probably going to be, very little, at least for quite a period of time. But, it ain't like this is going to, it ain't like, we're not going to, this is like a 10-year project. I mean, it's not going to be overnight, just like the NFL.
Yeah.
Just like the Premier League. The Premier League has invaded this market, and they're making so much money off the American market. You go on message boards, you go to bars. There are Liverpool, Manchester City. There are clubs here across the United States, fans of certain European teams. They get together, the T-shirt sales, the merchandise, the sponsorship, the viewership of these games. It's all out there, man, and it's growing and growing, and these Premier League teams are making more money off the market of the United States. So we're not just doing it to them, they're doing it to us. And people are telling college football, the SEC and the Big Ten, look, there's untapped markets you should start investing in, and they're going to be watching your product. Because do you have Netflix? Have you watched the SEC documentary?
I have not seen it yet. I have family that has Netflix. I'll probably watch it when I get the chance when I'm at their place.
Yeah. It's like a drama filled, it's like a soap opera, right? And that is being played all through the global markets of Netflix. That's not just being played in America. That is going all over the place. That was part of the deal. So that's just the first foray in the Southeastern Conference plans.
Okay. So let me ask a follow-up question now about your big scoop theory. So let's say that the SEC does go with 4, and it's the 4 teams that you indicated. It could be either Duke or Virginia at the tail end of it, but either one would serve that purpose of the big scoop. So if that were to happen, Greg, is it conceivable that they could approach Notre Dame and say, hey, listen, we have a spot here for you, and we can even have some flexibility in who you might have as a travel partner in the conference? Do you think that, is it conceivable that Notre Dame would even consider that?
Notre Dame to consider the Southeastern Conference?
Joining the SEC.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Now, a lot of I've had this back and forth with Notre Dame fans for years. I don't think so, I'll say, well, let me start off with my traditional answer, and then we're going to push the envelope a little bit here. My traditional answer to that is the Notre Dame fans are, they've been independent since day one, over 100 years. They've got a national fan base, and they want to go where their alumni are. They want to go where their fans are. It's one of the reasons, not the only reasons, but one of the reasons why they always try to make sure they play in the state of California. They've had a relationship with Stanford and USC. It's one of the reasons why they always make sure they go up and play in the Northeast, because there's a whole bunch of Notre Dame fans Northeast. It's one of the reasons why Notre Dame's always making sure that once in a while they play around in the Chicago area, right? I mean, Indiana, Michigan State, Northwestern, Purdue, not Indiana,
right,
but Purdue, Michigan State. They go where their fans are. That has been their calling. That's what they want to do. It's one of the reasons why they wanted to stay independent, because they would have the flexibility to go where their fans are. Going to the Southeastern Conference or in the Big 12, that is not where the Notre Dame fans are. So I am extremely dubious to believe that Notre Dame would even get a scheduling with SEC, a scheduling deal with them. I don't believe in any Notre Dame Southeastern Conference connection at all, other than the fact that the Southeastern Conference has enjoyed protecting Notre Dame. You know, they don't want Notre Dame to go to the Big Ten, right? And so they've had that sort of relationship. But no, if Notre Dame joins the conference, and I think they will, I think it's going to be the Big Ten.
Okay. I have always thought that it would be the Big Ten, but I just wanted to ask that question just to see, because, you know, you're saying that the Big Scoop is a transformational event for the SEC, and I was thinking to myself, well, I wonder if it's transitional enough that it could affect a Notre Dame decision. But I think that, I mean, I'm hoping that you're right, and I'll add this comment. This will be the last thing. I would say that the modern history of realignment started with Penn State going into the Big Ten. That's just my opinion. Okay, if you go from that point in time forward, all the moves into the P2 have had a very simple filtering process, and it goes like this: do I have an offer to get into one of the P2 conferences? If the answer is yes, and you only have one choice, you go to that conference. If the answer is yes, and you have a choice between the two conferences, the tiebreaker is the closest geography. That decision-making filter right there explains every move that has gone into the P2, starting with Penn State. And so that decision-making filter would argue in favor of Notre Dame going to the Big Ten, and that's why I've always believed. But I just wanted to ask you what your opinion was, just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So anyway, that's all I had for you, Greg. I'll let you go.
You got it. I appreciate it. Great call, sir. Tristan.
All right. Thanks a lot, Greg.
Beautiful.
Keep up the good work.
You know, so I'm, again, this is like probably the fourth or fifth time I am going to get a lot of the people in the PATC family upset with me. But here it goes. I have said this in the past. It is absolutely true. You can take whatever you want with this. You can turn off this live show right now if you feel that you are too sensitive and about what I'm about to say when it comes to Notre Dame. So I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds to hit the off button, and I will see you guys tomorrow on a Friday. For those who want to listen to the spiel, once again, stay on the line here for just a little bit longer. Notre Dame loves being independent in football. They've been independent since day one. Now, they've had interest in joining the Big Ten at certain points. Interest, but never, nothing that they really needed to do. They've been talking with the Big Ten forever. They have a relationship with the Big Ten. We were the ones that broke the Big Ten, Notre Dame. Just like the USC and all the other stories that we fortunately were able to break. I'm trying to find that. I don't know what is going on with my OPS system here. What is OBS? Now we talked about Notre Dame joining the Big Ten in hockey. This was November 18th, 2015. We actually had two sources on that. And then it happened a few months later in 2016. It actually happened. The Big Ten does have a relationship with Notre Dame. And I know everyone says, well, Notre Dame hates the Big Ten hates Notre Dame. Even back, what was it, a couple of years ago, when Kevin Warren, when they were debating on how much the Big Ten should expand, and he wanted Oregon and Washington, and we said at the time, we gave you guys the peek around the corner, that the Big Ten, that the Big Ten media partner Fox did not want to do it. Ohio State did not want to do it. Iowa did not want to do it. Penn State did not want to do it. But we also told you that it was going to happen within the next 5 months or 5 years afterwards. Oregon and Washington, we strongly believe they were going to become the Big Ten members. We said that in every single live show we did leading up to August 4th, 2023, when it finally happened. And one of the things that had to happen, Kevin Warren needed to leave office. And he did. And then the Big 12 needed to poach again, and they were about to poach again, whatever. You guys have all heard that story before. But within that story, within all of that, Kevin Warren and the Big Ten presidents had a target list of teams that they wanted to pursue, that they thought they could get. It was reported in, I can't, again, you're going to have to Google it, but it was out there a couple of years ago when all this was happening. It was reported out in the open. We reported to you guys here. We kept giving you the peek around the corner. But Notre Dame was on that list. Notre Dame was on that list, and it wasn't just a list of, oh, these are the teams that we would love to have, but we don't got no shot. No, it was a list of, these are the schools that we know there's interest, back and forth interest. These are the schools that have been at least talking to us, third party. Notre Dame can talk first party because they're not part of a conference. On that list, there were ACC schools that could not talk first party, but the Big Ten knew they had interest because they had called, and the Big Ten said, well, we can't really talk to you about it, but they know that there were ACC schools interested. And on that list, there was a Miami, and there was a Florida State, and there was a Virginia, there was a North Carolina, there was a Pittsburgh. There are probably others. Notre Dame was on that list. So, what I'm trying to say is, every year, I mean, Notre Dame, again, I get it. People don't think they're ever going to join the Big Ten. But the Notre Dame Big Ten thing has never been Notre Dame slamming the door and going, no, slam. That isn't how it is. It isn't. It's Notre Dame going, wow, okay, let's talk. Wow, okay, looks good. We're going to stay independent for now. We're staying independent, but that's how it is. Notre Dame is in the Big Ten media contract. It is written in there. This current media, and they're not in there because Notre Dame says, hell no, never. No, they're in there because there's been back and forth interest. Go watch what Marcus Freeman just said this year. It's obvious Marcus Freeman has had a lot of discussions with Bavacqua about this. Marcus Freeman's, that interview with Joe Klatt, just go watch it. Marcus Freeman said, yeah, if it gets too difficult. He did not say no to joining the conference. He did not say yes to independence for the next 100 years. They know that the landscape is the consolidation has not stopped, and it ain't going to stop for a while. So I get it. Maybe Notre Dame stays as a football independent for the next 40 years. But it isn't like they're saying, Big Ten, don't ever call us again. Big Ten, you evil BSers. Big Ten, you're the Darth Vader. We would never join. They're not doing that at all. That ain't happening. It ain't happening. And maybe, just maybe, the story that I want to get to here in the next week that we're working on, maybe Notre Dame's involved with that. I don't know, maybe, possibly, maybe, could be. Now, I know, look, I said when we had that USC story, and when USC and UCLA joined the Big Ten on June 30th, I said right away Notre Dame's going to be making a quick decision on whether they were going to join the Big Ten. And they did. And it was a no. It was a no. And I got to be honest with you, I thought it was going to be a yes, but it was a no. But we knew there was a quick decision going to be made because that was part of the communication between Notre Dame and USC. USC wanted Notre Dame to join the Big Ten. We talked about that even before it became official on June 30th, 2022, because we had the story. And Notre Dame, that's why when we're trying to figure out, and we do not know it, I said I got about a 1% chance of my prediction being correct. And I think maybe it's 0.5% now. I think the odds have dropped on my prediction. But it is vitally important for the Big Ten to make Notre Dame is their number one target. It just is. It just is. And North Carolina is right there with it. They've been trying to get North Carolina for the longest time. And it looks like they're going to come up short again. But the Big Ten, the Notre Dame is their number one target. They were on Kevin Warren's list. They were on Delaney's list. They are on Petiti's list. And they're on the list not because the Big Ten likes to waste their time. They're on the Big Ten list not because the Big Ten wants to make a fool of themselves. They're on the Big Ten's list because they have had lots and lots and lots of talks. Notre Dame knows exactly what the dollar figure is in that media contract in the Big Ten. They know it. They've been told. They've had meetings. It's not a secret. And it's more than what Notre Dame is making now. So that is why I keep bringing it up. It ain't like it's Notre Dame has always said no. But I think, and I have no problem with people still believing they're always going to say no. But just remember this. The changes that have occurred in college football, in college sports, in college athletics, made Texas and Oklahoma felt like they had to go to the SEC. USC felt like they had to go to the Big Ten. The Big 12 did everything they possibly could. They successfully did the moonshot, the miracle shot, and they poached from the Pac-12 because they thought they really needed to do it. And Utah and Arizona State and Colorado may be a little bit of the exception, but Arizona State did not want to leave the Pac-12. Arizona did not want to leave the Pac-12. They did not want to leave the Pac-12. But they had to. So we've had big programs. We've had the biggest athletic programs, the biggest brands in college sports felt like they've had to make a change. We've had medium size, we've had small size. And to think that all these changes, all these waves, everything be created by consolidation and a whole lot of other forces out there. Now we got this third-party money out there. We've got this third-party money out there wanting to come in, but they want to come in at a conference level or a Super League level. The bigger, the better, right? So again, just another thing that makes it very difficult for an independent program. Anyways, I'm done with this rant. I just wanted it once again, just lay it out there. Notre Dame has refused to leave their football independence. But they've never slammed the door and said, hell no, don't call us again. That is not the relationship. And that is often portrayed in other places, but that just isn't true. So, having said that, keep your head on a swivel, buckle up. I want to thank everybody who has just done an unbelievable job today in the chat room and with the phone calls. Kerry Gold Nose, bless your heart. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it. You must love my ACC prediction, Kerry Gold Nose. You are a fan of the Florida State Seminoles. Top half of the conference. Pretty good after going 2-10 last year. Pretty good, Kerry Gold Nose. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Helmer Hennison, the Big Lubbock nitwit with a monster super chat. Thank you so very much. Daniel Gorby, Clemson fans, you better pray Greg the Cooler doesn't hijack the show. Nah. Greg the Cooler is fading away. I'm not going to play the music. Not again. Helmer Hennison, Greg hinting Penn State head coach won't be coaching much. I don't know about that. I like Franklin. He's a hell of a coach. I think he's got a lot of pressure on him. He's got two great coordinators. Penn State's got two great coordinators. My goodness. Holy smokes. Lewis, thank you. Preston Greensboro, thank you guys for your super chats. I appreciate it. Thanks for everybody coming on in. John Dry, thank you. Appreciate it, guys. I did play it earlier, AMAC. I did play it earlier. Chad Bracey, thanks for coming on in. Steele Austin. Okay. I want to thank everybody. I do appreciate it. We were on a little bit later than usual on a Thursday. But again, you're going to have to get used to it. Because 3 Thursdays from now, we are going to be doing a double watch party at 9:16. Guess what? At 9:16 Central Time, 3 weeks from now, the Golden Gophers will be ahead of the Buffalo Bulls by 17 points. Start in the fourth quarter. We are going to be approaching halftime of the Cincinnati Bearcats Nebraska Cornhuskers game. So 3 Thursdays from now, you got to be here with us. You got to be here with us. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, please hit the subscribe button. What are you waiting for? We are this close to the season. Subscribe, turn on those notifications, and please, before you leave, smash the like button. It helps us with the algorithm so very much. Keep your head on a swivel. Could be a very interesting weekend up ahead. Could be. We're going to try to nail some stuff down. If not this weekend, early next week. Brace for impact. Until next time. From all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. As always, God, family, Golden Gophers.